Good morning, good afternoon, village. How are you guys doing? Great to see you guys again. Great to be in front of you. Welcome to the Black Mental Health Channel. Of course, you know what you need to do. It's attendance time, right? So go ahead and hit the like button, hit the notification button so you can stay aware and connected with all the videos that we got going on. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. It helps with the algorithm, helps get the message out, helps people find our channel. So please like, notify, subscribe, do all those great things. We are the Black Mental Health Channel, where we talk about all things mental health as it relates to Black people and the African American community. And so we're just trying to have those difficult, hard conversations to help you be better, help me be better, help our community be better, help it grow and improve. So that's what we're here for. That's what we're going to do. My name, Ricky. You know who it is. It's your boy, man, Harold Rayfield. I am a licensed professional counselor, therapist in the states of Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. I also do life coaching. I also do public speaking. So I am out there and engaged with the community. Just want to be a resource any way possible. So coming to you live from the beautiful city of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I am the clinical director at Spring Eternal Behavioral Health, and I'm also in partnership with my wife, and we have a company, Life Solutions Therapy, that also provides mental health services as well. So that's who we are. That's what we do. Let's get right into the conversation, right? So today we want to just discuss, talk about, start the dialogue, the conversation that daddy issues. Hey, first of all, happy Juneteenth to everybody out there. Juneteenth is coming up this weekend. Please be safe. Please gather, connect with people, enjoy, celebrate freedom for our people, our community, right? Came 2 years too late, but nevertheless, it's here. And so please be safe. Enjoy this weekend. Have a good time. Get together with your people, family reunions, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So happy Juneteenth. It's also June, which means it's Men's Health Month. Talking to all the guys out there, if you're on the channel, if you're listening, if you're part of the Black Mental Health group, our Facebook group, please take care of your health, right? Whether that's your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, please take care of yourself, right? Because your families need you, your communities need you, they need us. And so we got to be better with taking care of ourselves, right? So that's part of the daddy issues, right? Is that we as dads, as fathers, right? Father's Day is coming up this Sunday. We as dads, we as fathers, we got to take on the challenge of being better, doing better. If you know better, you do better. So that's us. So that's what we're going to talk about today, these daddy issues. So what do I mean when I say daddy issues? Well, typically we're talking about women, young ladies who are struggling in their personal lives because of their relationship with the father. Today, I want to keep the ladies out of it. You know, I would like to address the fellas, have a conversation. And if you're a lady watching this video, hey, well, I'm glad you're here. Please pass on the message to the men in your life, whether it be old men or young men, that, hey, there's opportunities, there's help out there. So please go find it, right? So daddy issues, what are they? Let me give it to you, right? So men are 2 to 3 times more likely to use drugs than women, right? Men 3 times more likely to use, abuse, and die by alcohol abuse, right? So three times more likely than women to abuse and die from alcohol abuse, right? Currently, right now, in terms of mental health in men, there are around 6 million men that suffer from depression. And so it's a big deal. It's a big challenge. It says here that in terms of suicide, men are about 3% higher likelihood to die by suicide than women. So mental health and men, those things are a challenge. It's important that we address, talk about these things and how we could help solve, remedy these issues. So those are some of the numbers about men. And what do we know about Black men, right? What do we know about Black boys in terms of mental health? We know that Black boys are more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD, hyperactivity, inattention than other ethnic groups counterparts. We know that Black boys are more likely to be diagnosed with some type of behavioral disorder, conduct disorder, than many of our ethnic counterparts. We know that Black men are more likely to have issues, problems, challenges, right, with authority figures, with the police, right? There are a lot of factors that go involved into it, but just talking about the nature of daddy, right, of being a father, what that means is that our men, we're under a lot of pressure, a lot of attacks, and we got to be aware of it. And as Black men, we know that many times Black men, we do not talk about mental health. We don't have those issues out in the forefront. We don't address them. And we know that most Black men, when they have issues or challenges, they're more likely to keep those things to themselves, but they do come out, right? They do happen. Those things are a problem. And we know that most of the time we find that Black men end up addressing their mental health, their emotional health after they had encounters with the law enforcement, with legal issues, whether it be jail, incarceration, and those things. And so we want to have this conversation. I want to have a conversation today. What can we do now instead of being reactionary about the issues and challenges that we have? How can we address them now? So just a few things I want to discuss, go over with you guys. I won't hold you very long. We know that Black families are more likely and have higher rates of poverty than any other ethnic group, right? So out of 1.8 times more likely to be in poverty. So that affects our women, that affects our children, that affects healthcare, it affects education, it affects money and finances. So the challenge, the dynamic of adding men into our communities to be a more active participant in the rearing of our children, being leaders in our community, being heads of households, it's critical, it's important. So those are some of the issues with being dad. So what does that mean, right? So what does that look like? Couple of issues, right? So the first one, there's a toxic masculinity issue that all men of all ethnic backgrounds have to address, have to deal with, right? This the machismo, right? Being a man, being strong, what that means. It's tough, right? It's difficult, especially for young men as they're transitioning from high school, middle school to adulthood, trying to find independence, trying to find careers, trying to figure out who they are. This idea of being strong, being tough, men don't cry. We got to address that, right? Because it's a toxic masculinity and it's a burden, because what we recognize is that men go through mental health issues just like women do. The only challenge is what? We don't see it. We don't know it. We don't see what's going on internally with men because men are not comfortable sharing, not comfortable talking about it. Hey, when I speak and I talk in dialogue with other men in men's groups, they talk about the fact that, hey, there's not a lot of support groups for men, right? Where do men find support? Where do men sit down and gather together in groups and talk about all of the challenges of being a dad, being a father, whether it be finances or bills or where we're going to live or leading and being responsible for and accountable to our wives and what that means, how to find the right neighborhood, the right household, career, all of these challenges, right, are all there for men. And so it becomes an issue, right? And so masculinity is a part of that. What's strong, what's considered healthy, what's considered okay, it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. And you think about being a dad, being a father, fathers go through a lot in terms of protecting and providing. That's what I think about, right? It's a lot of pressure, right? Which leads to the generalized anxiety, that constant uneasiness that dad feels, growing up. I remember a time when dad always had that look on his face, right? He's always stressed, he's always worried, he's always thinking about something. And now that I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I know what that pressure feels like. I know what that anxiety is, that when you wake up, you're responsible for having to make sure there are resources and there's support for 3 other lives or 4 other lives in your care. Hey, that's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of pressure. So that leads to this anxiety, sometimes depression that men deal with. right? In terms of identity and depression, we know that a large part of our identity is men, Black men, right? Our providers and protectors has to do with our jobs, our careers, the money that we make is a big part of our identity. And for Black men, we know that living in our capitalist society, the United States, that's a struggle because there are not always the avenues for us to become entrepreneurs, to become self-employed, to really maximize our intellectual and personal potential to the fullest so that we can be providers, right? And so a lot of times young men, young Black men go out into the world without having the education or the knowledge or the tools or the resources or the help and support to become independent so that they can put themselves in a position to be protectors, to be providers for families, for their children. The pressure of all of that, the sadness that comes with that, right? Oftentimes it's a lot, right? And that's why we see maybe that there's an absence of men, right, in our communities. There's an absence of men raising our children. There's an absence of men being connected to our wives, to our women in our community because the pressure and those dynamics are so intense. It is a daily struggle for myself, a daily battle on how to be a good dad, how to be a good husband, how to be the best father I could possibly be. Now, luckily, I was fortunate. I was blessed to be in a family of men and a family of husbands, right? I was able to watch my dad and how he navigated being a father, right? How he navigated being a dad. So I was able to see on a daily basis, because my dad was in my life, in our household, what it's like to be a father, what the responsibility, what the job description is, what it's going to take to be good at it. And so I was fortunate, right, that I was able to see that on a daily basis of what that means to be a father, to be a dad. The huge challenge for our community, for Black men, is that many of our families, they're not led by men, right? We're absent because some of the things we just described, like the finances, the healthcare, relationships, many of our children grow up in poverty. They grow up without having a father, their father, biological father, in the household, leading, showing, helping, teaching. And so now you got Black boys who don't have the right role models in their families to help lead the way, help show them how to be dads when it's their time to take over that responsibility. So we have a lot of kids pushed, a lot of men pushed out, young men pushed out into the world without the resources, without being adequately equipped for the job.